Festivals, we've talked about the feast and festivals, and we've done a full round of feast and festivals, and we see that each and every feast and festival, Hanukkah, Purim, all the way to the High Holy Days, to Sukkot, to Pesach, all of them tell us something about Yeshua. All of them are a foreshadow of Yeshua. All of them tell us how we should proceed in examining ourselves, building our relationship with Elohim. They're very important. None of them are kept, okay, except for the two that were declared by Constantine. And if they happen to be interested enough, sometimes churches will get together and ask somebody to go and hold a Seder for them, but they go and celebrate Halloween as opposed to keeping Purim. What do you do on Purim? You dress up. You eat candy. Purim, you exchange gifts. But anyway, regarding community, okay, appointing a king, we appoint a leader. We elect our elected officials. Obeying the court, we have courts of law. The courts say do it, we do it. Not following the majority to evil. Majority, you know, we stay away from being sidetracked by a majority that wants to do something evil, because we know that we have to walk on the right path. Appointing judges and officers, we do that. Treating litigants equally and impartially before the law. It's in our law books. So we see that this stuff doesn't just relate to, for the Christian community, the 2 hours they spend at church on Sunday morning, or if they have time to make it Sunday night, or if there's not something better on TV Wednesday evening. These are things that are kept in their day-to-day lives, in their community, in our government. So we're still keeping Torah, we're still applying it to our everyday life. It's not anything spectacular. Regarding idolatry, removing idols and not allowing them. For the most part, Christian churches tend to do this. We have the father or mother of all churches that still hasn't quite gotten the grip on this, and the Catholic Church has statues of all the saints everywhere, and you burn your candle to your favorite saints, you lose your keys, you pray to St. John to help you find them. We're to remove idols, okay? We're not to get involved with idols. So it's a positive commandment, remove the idols. When we get into the negative commandments, it says don't have idols. And regarding social issue, robber, burglar, if he's caught, he's to restore the things that he stole. We give charity to the poor. Restoring a pledge to the owner if needed by the owner. If the owner pledges his rake and it happens to be August and he needs his rake, well then you give him his rake back so that he can use it. Employee allowed to eat produce being worked in. Paying a worker his or her wages on time. You know, we all want to get paid. We have laws, labor laws, that say that an employer actually has to write down on a piece of paper, visible to everybody, what day they're supposed to get paid on, at what time they're supposed to get paid. And an employee can hold their employer accountable if they don't get paid on this day at that time. So the Torah, it's in our labor laws. It's in our businesses. It's in our work. Lost property must be returned to its owner. Assisting a person in loading a beast with his burden. We don't have beasts of burden, but if somebody needs you to help them load their pick-em-up truck, you help them load their pick-em-up truck. If they need you to help them unload it, help them unload it. Unloving the convert and the proselyte. People come to a relationship with Elohim, you love on them. You make them feel welcome, regardless of where they came from, regardless of what they look like, where they came from. It doesn't make a difference. Keeping accurate weights and measures, making sure that when you do business, you don't cheat anybody. I mean, it's and in the do nots. It talks more about weights and measures, how not to cheat anybody. Regarding family, I mean, we do this in our society anyway. It's not just Christians, but they do it. They keep it. Society keeps it. We honor our old people, or we're supposed to. We pay attention to the wisdom of our elders. Usually when we're between the ages of 16 and 40, we don't give them the time of day, but anytime after 40, we finally start listening to what our parents told us and said, I wish I would have paid attention to that when I was 18, because then I would be so much farther ahead of myself. I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying
We got a young one at the table.
Yeah. But honoring parents. It says fearing parents, but it's literally reverencing your parents, respecting your parents, being fruitful and multiplying. Genesis, we don't have problems with that. Nowadays, it seems that we have even less problems with that. We even have circumcision. Christians say you don't have to circumcise, yet when the nurse comes in and asks the mother and the father, you want to circumcise your child because it's going to help your young man to not have health issues in the future, the parents usually say, yeah, circumcise him. Don't wait for the 8th day, do it right away. Why do we do it on the 8th day? Well, okay, Torah tells us, but also on the 8th day, in a male child, their immune system is stronger, and they're also producing, I can't remember what vitamin it is within their system that helps them to clot faster. So Elohim had a pretty good idea how the human body works, considering that he created it. Okay? Laws of divorce, only court approved with a written document. When we have all of the references as to where they're found, and they're all found in Torah. They're not found, not a single one is found in Brit Hadashah. Yet, these are the ones that Christians hold on to. These are the ones that our society holds on to. So it's not just Christians that are holding on to what the Torah says. It's society that holds on to what the Torah says. And if atheists found that we're supposed to actually keep courts of law and everything, then they'd go haywire because, oh no, we can't do that because God said to do that, and there is no God. So we see that it doesn't just affect what we do at church. It affects everything in our lives. Now, we don't have slaves, so we can't really say we need to follow anything regarding slaves. Regarding judicial punishment, we don't really keep any of the Torah-mandated judicial punishments because we don't behead people, we don't stone people, and so, but what do? We show mercy in that, in those states that do have capital punishment, they say no cruel and unusual punishment. Okay? Regardless of what the person did. Okay? We said regarding slaves, we don't have any. Unless you have children or grandchildren, but that doesn't really count. Regarding torts, penalties for injury. If I fall down at Walmart, there is a penalty for them not having sent an employee around and clicking the little clicker thing. They make sweeps of the stores and they have little box thingies, or nowadays it's scanner thingies. They scan the area of the store they were in, and you can prove that there was an employee that actually went through there and made sure that there were no spills or anything. So, but if there's no such thing and somebody slips on a broken bottle of mayonnaise and, breaks their noggin, then penalties for injury, they're responsible. Laws for injuries caused by domestic animals. We have laws in place in our animal control departments in various cities. Counties have laws in place regarding injuries from animals. We don't have to worry about being gored by an oxen, but that means something totally different. We'll get to it one of these days. Now it says laws regarding injuries caused by a pit. We have OSHA. We have workplace basically workplace safety laws that have to be followed by the employer to make sure that his business is safe. When we have people that do work for us, we either have some type, hopefully some type of renter's insurance or home insurance that if they're injured while in our home, it covers them. So we have laws regarding injuries in the pit that we take measurable care to make sure that no one gets hurt, and if they get hurt, we have a means of taking care of them to make sure they're okay. Laws for damages caused by fire. Again, we have laws. Fire marshal has laws. You know, we're having to have the city come out and inspect our meter base before we can get our meter installed. They have laws to make sure the wiring's in place. But it all comes from the practical ideas found in Torah. You know, laws regard babysitters, leaving your kids with your niece, your nephew, well, I wouldn't leave them with my grandkids because that wouldn't be good. But we have laws about that. You have to leave them with someone responsible. If you're a paid service, you have rules that you have to stick with. You have to become certified nowadays to be a child care worker. And there's rules out the wazoo that surround nursery daycare. There's rules that surround nursing home care. You have to follow these rules very carefully. Laws of borrowing. Again, there's things that we do. Now, the laws of borrowing, they go more into detail in the what not to do. Don't charge interest for your fellow Christian, your fellow Jew, your fellow. That don't apply to banking, they apply to loans made. If I loan you money, I'm not going to charge you interest on the money you owe me, or vice versa. And, I mean, use of deadly force in protecting self or others is found in Torah. Laws of inheritance. You know, we have inheritance laws up to the eyeballs. IRS does too. So we see in this list, these are just the positive mitzvot. We see that these aren't just a whole bunch of arbitrary rules that, you know, people, I hear people say a lot of time, we don't have to follow all those thou shalt nots found in the Old Testament. But we see that they're not all thou shalt nots. The thou shalls, the do these things, aren't to keep us from having, or aren't to cause us to lose any freedom. What are they there for? They're there to protect us. They're there to make our lives better. So is Yehovah, our mighty judge and redeemer, being a hard-nosed, wrathful God of vengeance who's given us all these heavy burdens to bear in the Torah? Well, so far, we see that they come from a very, very loving Elohim who wants nothing but the best for us. These are some of the things that we have to step into the ark in order to understand. Because if we don't understand them, what is our life going to be? Our relationship with our family, our relationships with our friends, our relationships within our community? How is our community government, our national government going to take care of us if we go contrary to the laws of Torah? So, again, not something that we do just during church services or when we're at synagogue. These commandments affect our very lives, and they affect our society as well. Like I said, these ones listed are ones that are kept by the Christian community already. And they don't realize, most of them, they don't even realize they keep the Torah because they don't have to keep all that Old Testament stuff. So, we see that they're not very oppressive. But any questions on any of this stuff? I know it's kind of short, sweet, and to the point. We have 412,000 do-nots next week, so probably take us about 14 hours.
Well,
Or nerves.
the one that comes up all the time, that's about giving thanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you, Deuteronomy 8:10, and all these times and these years never really have referenced it, although I knew that the situation from the roots was to give thanks afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
And the commandment is very plain. This is King James version because it's in this my sword. Look up so I can have Strong's. But when thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God
Mm-hmm.
for the good land which hast given thee. He hath given thee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then that makes sense. You eat, you're satisfied,
And you're giving
and you
you're
give,
blessing,
and
you're
you
giving
give,
thanks.
and you give thanks. I
And then
mean,
people turn it into you pray over it so you can eat it.
so it can be
You're supposed to
sanctified,
pray for it,
sanctified
actually eat it.
for the,
Well,
You give thanks afterwards.
And-
It's gonna be
Bless him,
blessed.
bless him.
we go with that.
Acknowledge.
We go with that
The
give
source.
thanks before, because what did Yeshua do? Before he broke the bread and passed it out, he raised it up and gave thanks to the Father. But this is a different thing that he's doing. This is actually a blessing that he's bestowing, and he's giving thanks to Elohim for being able to bestow a blessing. When we sit down to eat a meal, we eat the meal. We're satisfied. And then we give thanks because of the wonderful good feeling that Elohim has given us.
And you know what? If we're not thankful or satisfied, then it's a time to reflect and make ourselves be thankful and satisfied.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
there's times you're not, maybe you don't have, whatever.
It's like the line
But
that
it's a reminder.
Right.
it's the
Yeah.
line, like the line that I use with the grandkids. I mean, think about all the little kids that don't have anything to eat, that don't have what you have to eat, and then regardless of what it tasted like, and regardless of whether I got enough or not, I'm still going to be grateful because I got.
Well, they still pray over it. They may not like it, what they're eating, but they still do pray
Yeah.
and give thanks.
So
Is it
But
anything?
Very geeky grandkids.
we see that.
And that's about all there is.
We see that, I guess the main thing is examining it, taking a look at it. Our Elohim is not oppressive. And it's just something to keep in mind every time we look at the Torah. We understand that He loves us and He gave it to us in order for us to have the best possible life that we can, but also for us to learn how to walk with Him according to His Word. And walking with our Elohim according to His Word doesn't always mean I have to be all the godly, pristine thing, but simply live my life well. And this is something that Solomon had to say in Ecclesiastes after he realized, just how thick-headed he had been all these years. When he made Teshuvah, he wrote Ecclesiastes, and he said that there's nothing better for a person than to eat, to drink, and to rejoice, because these are a gift of Elohim. And we do that in moderation if we stay in line with what the Torah says. Groovy? Grooviness has been achieved.